G'day guys and gal. I bet some of you are scratching your head about these new risen Dark Angels. The line's new personal retinue of Dark Angels that were, up until extremely recently, considered traitors, heretics and renegades, who were often captured and tortured to death by the Dark Angels. These Fallen are the ones who attacked the line when he returned to Caliban. There have been numerous Fallen Chaos Lords, and Cypher is the most infamous of all Fallen other than Luther, and determining Cypher's loyalties is even harder than trying to figure out the Alpha Legion. So how did they go from the Fallen to the Risen? Why is the Lion cool with this? How do the other Dark Angels feel about it? It does all actually make quite a lot of sense if you watch this video. Before we get started, are you ready to fucking come? My pants are already soaked. As I announced the latest major mini launch, the Redeemed Kill Team, featuring 6 custom models, all of whom with their own distinct role in the team. And yes, it's a 6-man kill team for a reason. First we have the Destroyer, the first Redeemed to be found, an old warrior with a history of immense violence. Then we have the Blade Knight, no finer swordsman exists in the Redeemed's ranks. After that is the Paladin, the tank of the team, wielding a mighty sword and shield. Here's the bulwark on which the enemy break. Then we have the Tech Knight, the nerd of the crew and the dude with the biggest gun. Not to be outdone, there is also the Medicae, but don't let his healers cross-fool you. The man is a beast with an axe. And finally, we have the Sorcerer, a knight who is just as skilled with magic as he is with a sword. You can actually run the Sorcerer in 2 styles, Battle Mage or Wizard, or a mix of both. Their color scheme pays homage to both their world of birth, their new lives as the Redeemed, and their old Legion. These models make me horny. You can get them either individually or in a bundle. But man, have I put a fat discount on the bundle. Honestly, you'd be crazy not to get the bundle. We've been smashing out some new awesome major mini launches every week, and it ain't slowing down. We're also running a $21,500 painting competition, and all orders over $150 get free shipping. We're taking care of you guys. Link is below. Today we'll go over the Risen, detailing their origins, why the Lion trusts them, and if all Fallen are eventually going to become Risen. Let's get into it. So to understand the Risen, we also need to understand the Fallen. Now what a lot of people don't realize is that the Fallen were not this unified faction of heretic Dark Angels that were jerking it to chaos and wanted to murder the Lion. It was basically a shitload of confused, bored Dark Angels, most of whom had never left Caliban before, with various nuanced opinions on the state of affairs. Some were loyal to the Emperor and not the Lion or Luther. Some were loyal to Caliban, not the Imperium. Some were loyal to Luther but not Caliban. Some were chaos assholes, and some were loyal to the Lion, Luther, the Emperor, and Caliban. Whilst Luther was being a weirdo and drinking chaos Kool-Aid and his agents were going around doing questionable shit, most of the Dark Angels on Caliban had no idea he was being influenced by chaos. Even Zahariel, a fallen chaos sorcerer, alongside a cabal of his fallen sorcerers, ended up on Terra during the siege and were like, fuck it, and joined the Loyalists and were instrumental in relighting the Astronomicon and saving the Imperium. So even the Fallen that had fallen was still unsure of what they were doing or who they wanted to serve. When the Lion returned to Caliban, he was fired upon by the Dark Angels on the planet, most of whom were extremely confused. They were like, oh, Daddy's home. Ooh, why are we shooting each other? Ooh, why are there drop pods? Ooh, why did Daddy just cut brother Zacarias in half? Now the order to fire was actually given by Astalan, one of Luther's closest generals who was a Terran-born Dark Angel. He actually didn't like Luther much, nor did he like the Lion. He was only loyal to the Emperor. It isn't super explicitly stated why exactly Astalan fired first, as even Luther did not want that, but perhaps he wished the Dark Angels would purge itself of both the Lion and Luther, and then rise from the ashes and return to how they were before Caliban was discovered. After all, Astalan would have known Caliban would have been anal fucked during the battle. Now in the confusion, most Calibanite Dark Angels didn't know they had fired first. They just saw the Lion's forces drop pod in and start killing them, so they fought back. It was absolute mayhem as the planet started tearing itself apart in a warp storm. We later learned this warp storm was created in the future and sent back in time, but to be honest, it's probably best not to talk about that as it's a bit confusing. The warp storm dragged all of the living Fallen, thousands of them, into the warp, and then begun spitting them out at seemingly random across time and space. Some were out of action for only a few hundred years. Most, however, were around 10,000 years gone before re-emerging, as there had been a huge influx of Fallen arriving in the recent setting. Now you can imagine this is extremely jarring for the Fallen. Imagine you were just chillin', loyal and shit, didn't know anything was wrong, then your Primarch attacks you, then the warp eats you and spits you out 10,000 years later, and everything is weird and wrong. The Imperial truth is gone, the Dark Angels hunt you with all their efforts, life sucks balls. Many Fallen banded together, but then realized they didn't actually agree on much, so most of the warbands would disband as half wanted to be Chaos Marines and the other half thought that was weird and gay. Many Fallen became depressed and regretful. Many more were confused, however all were in hiding, as they knew that if the Dark Angels found them, they would eat shit. Now although only a small handful of the original Fallen were true Chaos worshippers, a high percentage percentage of Fallen slowly became Chaos Marines after emerging in the galaxy, usually from despair. They would try and uphold the teachings of the Emperor from the Great Crusade, get labelled a heretic, and chased away before then being hunted. To many, it felt like Chaos was the only option, especially since Chaos saw the Fallen as a great prize and would shower them with gifts. The Chaos Gods would literally compete to try corrupt Fallen to their side, with corrupted Fallen often leading Chaos warbands. These Fallen, although originally loyal, would see the Imperium as a rotten thing, different to the realm they swore their oaths for, thus wouldn't feel too bad for turning on it. Now this wasn't all Fallen, many stayed noble, but went into exile or became pirates. These were the Fallen that were to become the Risen. So when the Lion returned, he had somewhat of a new perspective on things. He was still an autist for sure, but it really stripped away a lot of his heresy-era bravado, and he was now a lot more focused on the important things. He was immediately thrust into action and soon encountered the fallen angel Zabriel, with Zabriel immediately opening fire on the Lion. The Lion was like, bruh, and disarmed him. See, the last memory Zabriel had of the Lion was the Lion butchering his brothers, so he thought the Lion was some kind of insane chaos slut. The Lion was like, you guys shot my fleet, and then Zabriel was like, ah, shit, my bad, homie, and they dapped. And after which, both warriors realized they were completely wrong about everything. And after both warriors realized they were completely wrong about everything, they team up. The Lion forgiving Zabriel and making him the first of the Risen. The rest of the story is basically the Lion and Zabriel going around collecting the Fallen like Pokemon. The Lion had developed his Forest Walk ability, the power to teleport through the warp and bring people with him if he chooses. This ability seemed to direct him to Fallen he could recruit, thus he started building his own little posse. Each Fallen was judged and they would judge the Lion in return. Most of them were of the attitude that they were loyal and thought the Lion had betrayed them, so after a bit of convincing, were pretty keen to rejoin the Lion. Some required a lot of convincing, and others were so eager that as soon as they saw him, they basically pledged allegiance straight away. The new Risen were quite boisterous, with one Risen, Kai, telling the Lion he would only serve him if he beat him in a duel, before calling the Lion old. Now the Lion spanked Kai's ass pretty hard, but it was a fun scene. As I said, some Fallen were extremely eager to join their Primarch, knowing that what happened on Caliban seemed dodgy as fuck and that Luther was a bit of a creep. Others took a fair bit of convincing. However, one by one they joined him and rose. Their Lion's nobility combined with their desire to actually be a part of something greater again, winning out. They also wanted to destroy the 10,000 Eyes Warband, a Chaos Warband led by a fallen angel sorcerer called Seraphax, who had fallen to Chaos. Interestingly enough, his right-hand man, Baylor, also a fallen angel, showed no signs of Chaos corruption, and the two of them tried to keep each other from falling too far to Chaos. During the final showdown, the Risen and their Primarch took on the 10,000 Eyes, with Seraphax being defeated. Baylor was mortally wounded when he turned on the too far gone Seraphax and helped his Risen brothers. As he was dying, the Lion forgave him and declared him Risen, allowing Baylor to rest in peace. The Lion then put out a call. All fallen angels who were free of Chaos taint were welcome to join him. He would forgive them for what happened, explain to them the truth, and if they chose, they could join his Risen. Many of these Risen would go on to become the Inner Circle companions. The Lion and his small army would then go on to fight Angron. With the Lion beating his brother, this is also when the horrified yet amazed 40k Dark Angels saw their Primarch return to them, at the host of the Fallen. Azrael nearly had a fucking aneurysm when one of the Risen slapped him on the shoulder in a friendly greeting. The Lion then merged the Risen with the Dark Angel chapter, creating a force to be reckoned with. Now the Dark Angels are still pretty shook. The Lion hasn't really been super transparent about many things, and he still lets them hunt the Fallen. However, this time when they catch them, they have to take him to the Lion first. Honestly, the lore got a bit fucking weird after the Lion Son of Forest book, as well as the Arcs of Omen. It seemed pretty clear. The Lion would now be more open and transparent, realizing his secrecy had caused a lot of issues. His priority would be uniting his legion and forgiving past grievances. He would break down the toxic ways of the Dark Angels. However, in the new Dark Angel Codex, he just goes back to being a weirdo. I feel like whoever wrote the Codex didn't really read the Lion Son of Forest book. Now, we haven't actually seen any of the big Fallen moments that are on the horizon, such as the Lion meeting with Cypher or Luther, both of which would be incredibly interesting as it's basically confirmed that Cypher is directly working for the Emperor. At the moment, it seems like the Fallen are moving en masse to either join the Lion or join Luther. See, only a small portion of all Fallen are Chaos Kool-Aid drinkers. Many flocking to Luther are pure in spirit but just loyal to Luther and Caliban. Likewise, Luther actually was very repentant over what happened, and he often said that when the Lion returned, he would forgive Luther. So is Luther gathering a large Fallen army to battle the Lion, or is he planning on merging with the Lion, turning almost all Fallen into Risen, and giving the Dark Angels the most powerful army in the galaxy? The Lion also seems to favor his Risen Dark Angels over his 40k Dark Angels, although he hasn't demoted or disrespected his 40k counterparts. He seems to take more counsel with the Risen and only takes counsel with Azrael and the others out of duty, something that makes the original Dark Angel commanders uneasy. It does make sense though. The Risen were Dark Angels born in the era the Lion lived in. He knew many of them, or at least of them. They fought for the Imperial truth and the Emperor's vision. Modern Dark Angels don't even wear the colors the Lion gave them. He understands why they do that, but to him, his Dark Angels were black and red, not green. They've also existed for 10,000 years without his guidance. They would nearly be unrecognizable as the Legion he once led. However, since the end of the Lion's book, book and the Arcs of Omen campaign, we haven't actually seen too much detailed interaction with the Risen. All we know is that the line has been sus, he's flying around the dark side of the Imperium at the head of a large Dark Angel army, crushing enemies' balls left, right and center, with one pretty cool battle seeing him slaughter his way through an army of Tyranids, making Hive Tyrants look like bitch boys. As an interesting note, he seems to prefer the Risen as his personal retinue and bodyguard on the battlefield. We also know he recently reached out to Guilliman, requesting a meeting, which will be pretty awesome. I predict the future lore for the line and the Risen will be they meet up with Guilliman, do some cool shit, then after that, there will be a lengthy lore sequence of the line meeting Cypher, Luther, and finally bringing the whole Fallen thing to a head. Will they rise, or will there only be war? If you enjoyed the video and you want to support the channel, then pick up the Redeemed Kill Team. 6 models, don't miss out. Hit the subscribe button, hit the real subscribe button for more erect content. Join the Discord for more memes that I'll see you on the next one. Peace.